The title of this episode is Compassion is My Anchor. And the Mayo Clinic Guide to Stress-Free Living book, authored by Dr. Ahmed Sood, there's a significant section that is dedicated to compassion. And in it, Dr. Sood defined the difference between empathy and compassion. And he says that empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Compassion encompasses empathy but goes a step further. Compassion is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and acting upon that to relieve their burden in some way. And that is such an anchor for me. And I want to share how it has been an anchor for me most recently. I had a dear friend who went through a life transition with work uh, a few years ago. It was the kind of transition in which it meant changes not only to his professional life, but also to his family life. He eventually received a job, which he was grateful for, somewhere else in another city, but his family was rooted in Arizona. So, he had to have all those conversations with his family and all the planning and everything that goes with that. And not to mention what else the ego kind of throws up about whether you're good enough or these changes at this stage in your life and the difficulty of uprooting and transitioning, all of that stuff that the ego brings with it that it has a comment about. So to deal with that. And most recently, he was settling things here in Arizona with a home that he lived in for a lot of years. He was moving, and so he called me the day before. I reached out to him the week before to just check on him and have a conversation. He said he called me back that day, but for whatever reason, we didn't talk. And the next time that we did talk, uh, he had a request for me. And so it wasn't, Keith, how you doing? I hope everything's going well. He had a request for me. Now, back in the day, and this is a dear friend, but back in the day, my ego would have definitely had a comment about, oh, now you calling me when you want something. But fortunately, I have a well-being practice, so that conversation never got past. But, every time my ego wanted to say something, I was cutting it off before it could even complete uh, enunciating a single word. Thankfully for that well-being practice. So he told me what he needed, and he needed me to help him move a particular some furniture, some works of art from his home, and help him move it to the next place, uh, and where his family would be staying temporarily here in Arizona while they wrap things up. And before he headed back to the city where he now works and lives. So I told him what my window was. It was the last minute, so I have an hour and a half in this window to do so. So the whole time I'm driving there, I'm noticing that my ego is trying to have something to say about like this is last minute, this changes my whole day. Now I gotta, go and do this. The road driving up to the house is a dirt road. My car is getting dirty. I mean, just nonsense that this thing is talking, is carrying on about. I get to the house. He couldn't be more, grateful and gracious to receive me. I'm quiet. I'm not as animated or engaged as I normally would be when I see my friend. But I told myself this a long time ago. If I say yes to someone asking me something or to a request, then I'm all in. And so physically I was all in, and I knew that the rest of me would be there too very, very soon. And so we started to pack everything up. He helps me make introductions with some other people that were in the home, helping him. And at the same time, the house that they sold that they're moving out of, the people that bought the house are moving in. So there's a lot of activity at the house. And we're getting everything loaded. and he's moving as fast as he can. I'm doing quality work. I'm being very careful with everything, being as helpful as possible, not needing to be told what to do, but taking initiative to do all of this. And the reason that compassion is important is because compassion helped me really silence my ego so I could be there for my friend. My friend has had what's the word? A challenging year, with a challenging year that was full of growth opportunities, with the transition from job that was at the time involuntary to really trying to navigate all of this in the best possible way with his family and trying to bring them along, and take care of them along the way. He's only got a limited amount of time to get this done before, window to do all of this. And I just remember just thinking about compassion, of just having a deep appreciation for what the last couple of years have been like for him and what this very moment is for him. That, he thought enough to call me to help him in a time of need. He's got other friends, too, but he called me and to ask me if I could, be of assistance. I thought about like a house that he had lived in for so long, whether or not there was some kind of attachment to it, of letting that go. And he has a well-being practice too, so we know these are all material things and you can't take any of it with you. So he understands that, but I didn't know what kind of conversations he might be having. All I knew is that I was grateful for my friend and I was grateful for my cultivation of compassion on a daily basis so that I didn't make this about me. I made it about serving the moment that was in front of me, which was supporting my friend. And to really drive, make sure that I was deeply anchored with compassion, that when my hour and a half uh, window of being there for him was up, I told him, like, listen, I have another meeting that I could probably get out of, and I can stay and help you unload this at the rental house. The old me would have been like, I'm out. I gave you an hour and a half. I've done my part. Like, you and someone else can take it from here. But that's not what I did, thankfully. And that's because of the well-being practice, is because I really wanted to keep an open heart. I mean, I wanted my heart wide open, you know, uh, for this experience. One for my friend, but one for my own growth. I wanted this to be my default, to keep an open heart, even when my mind, is bickering or carrying on about something else. Like, we did our part. Let's move on. And so as we were driving, and I told him I could go help him unload. I had a few more, a little bit more time. I could help him unload the house. As we were driving and we're in separate vehicles and he's pulling a trailer, he says, "Hey, why don't you, go on back to work? You know, uh, I can get someone else to help me tonight unload it. So you go back to work. I know you have to get back to work." And I said, "No, no, no, this is important to me." He said, "No, no, I insist that you go back to work." So I thanked him and I went, back to work. But what I was really grateful for was that I was going to go and help him more. I didn't let that window that had closed on the time that I had available be what stopped me. Because the reason I didn't let that end my support that day, the reason I didn't let that be the case was because there would have still been a little part of me, the ego, that was saying, we got a hard stop. When I could have taken an extra effort to contact my next meeting and tell them that I will be late or we need to reschedule. I'm so glad I went the extra step. It ended up working out because he said, "Hey, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and resume your day and handle those things that you're already committed to, Keith. But in my heart, like when your heart is closing or when you know that you're not giving all that you're capable of giving, you know it. The other people may not know it, but you know it. And the fact that I knew it, I couldn't end like that. And so I had to see it all the way through. I mean, thankfully, I was anchored uh, with compassion. And so for those people in your life that need you or asking something of you, you know, whether or not you do it, will just be aware of what is helping you make that decision. Is it an open heart or a closed heart? And then I would be remiss without acknowledging all the people that showed me compassion, not just put themselves in my shoes, but they acted upon that empathy that they were feeling for me. When ToBeRe went through a transition over 10 years ago, a lot of members had, stayed with me. A lot left, but a lot stayed with me. And of those that stayed with me, there were a few that went above and beyond. One person, her name was Shelly. I mean, she would knock on business, go to private businesses and knock on the door with my brochure and my flyer during her busy work day and say, hey, listen, there's this guy who can help with team building at your company. Would you consider having him come and talk to you? Just set up a meeting with him. She did that for months. Another friend of mine, Amy and Shelly, had this idea about doing door hangers. Keith 1.0 was like door hangers. Like when I get those on, at the house, I throw them right away. Like I don't look at those. But the fact that they want to do it, I didn't let my ego say that, this won't be fruitful, stop us. I was moved by their desire to try to help me. And so we hung flyers on doors. We didn't get one phone call back, but we hung flyers on doors. And that was what was most important, not the outcome, but the act. And all of those folks acted with compassion, from Amy to Gabe to Paula to Shelly and Jamie. They spent a lot of Saturday mornings walking around neighborhoods and hanging door hangers. Man, so many people have given to me, and I'm grateful that they too were anchored in compassion.